Alright, welcome back. Still don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Welcome back to the V.O.C. We have a college football Thursday here. A lot going on. A lot will continue to go on. Let's jump right into it. Alright, like I said, I think slowly but surely we're figuring a lot of things out. Sorry, I might be a little distracted. Modern Family's playing in the background of my TV over here. My all-time guilty pleasure TV show. It's such a good show. Sofia Vergara. Oh, Sofia Vergara. If you know, you know. I love me some Sofia Vergara. And I love Modern Family. It's, to me, one of the funniest shows ever. There's nothing funnier than that show. Everybody else in my family hates it. They've never watched it. They don't understand how great of a show it is. It is one of the funniest, if not, to me, the funniest shows that was on TV for a long time. Sadly, it's no longer on TV. I don't know why. It should have ran forever. Should have. It was that fucking funny. But it's not, sadly. But one of my all-time guilty pleasure shows. I love it. Alright, let's jump back now to what we really should be talking about. College football. Gotta stay on track here to V.O.C. We can go different crazies sometimes. Most of the time we have to finish what we are doing. Alright, so just jump into last week. Georgia continued to roll. Look, they will continue to roll. I'm not going to sit here and harp every week on how good Georgia is, because I know they're the best team. They are. They continue to be. I don't foresee a lot of teams beating them. If there's any team, I don't know. I don't think there is. Sark and Texas lose back-to-back weeks. Look, Sark needs more time at Texas than I think like a lot of people understand and really don't get that. You need more time to build a program, especially Texas. We think Texas, blah, 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 blah. The program is way worse than what we think it is. Like, look, I get that they almost beat Oklahoma, and, you know, they should have beat Oklahoma, but the Big 12 is that way every week, but it's going to take him 3 years to build this program. And the sad part is, do the people in Texas have the time to do that, or will they allow him to do that? I don't know, but he will get the program figured out, but he just needs time. He has come into dog shit of a program. Texas doesn't want to admit that, but he is. He needs time to rebuild it, but do it in a way that he can't fully strip it down and really figure out. He's going to kind of do it accelerated fast, and that's why, you know, you're seeing the products. But them losing 2 games, look, it happens, and they've lost 2 games to two pretty good teams. So it's not like they just lost to bad teams. They've lost to good teams. If he can beat the bad teams, he'll be fine, but you just need to give him time to grow. Purdue beats Iowa. Look, I said last week Iowa very well should have lost to Penn State, but they beat them. But we've seen flaws in Iowa. Now, was Iowa number 2 ranked? They were last week because they did beat Penn State. Penn State was a good team. But I think we look at it now, and, you know, clearly they lost. They've not played well against Purdue the last couple years. I think Purdue beat them last year. So, look, Iowa's now out of the conversation for a college football playoff. But, you know, does this derail Iowa's season? Do they stop, you know, playing and moving forward with the way they were going to potential Big Ten championship game, or do they continue on their fight and say, okay, look, we put this bad game behind us, we'll move forward, we'll move past it, we'll figure this out? I don't know. I would say Iowa bounces back from it, but you never know what's going to happen. Oklahoma's now playing the right card. Look, I said last week, Spencer Rattler, garbage. 2 thumbs down. He is fucking garbage. That guy is literal trash can walking. He's terrible. He is so bad that it's ridiculous. Now, they gave up 30 points to TCU. Look, it's the Big 12. You're going to give up 30 points, but they scored 50. They looked way better. You didn't hear all the problems about Oklahoma this week. No, you only heard good things. Well, maybe because they're playing the right quarterback. So I think Oklahoma now is a better team playing the quarterback that they're playing now, and Caleb Williams, the freshman. So, you know, how much better can they be? Where do we see them moving forward? The most fucked up, funniest thing I think I've seen in a while. Tennessee throws their football team on the field during the game. Oh, wait, sorry. It's not what. I mean, they did throw their football team. They threw trash on the field. It's their football team, right? Their football team's trash. They were throwing that on the field. Only if their team would have fought as hard as their fans did to throw trash on the field, they might have pulled out that game last week. But that was maybe the craziest shit I've ever seen. Just all of a sudden, fourth quarter, there was only like 4 minutes left, and they just started throwing trash on the field. And Lane Kiffin got a golf ball thrown at him. Now, there's only one coach that could handle that as good as Lane did, and that's Lane Kiffin. Lane handled that spectacularly funny. He said he doesn't know if he's grateful that they came out with the win or that he didn't get hit with the golf ball. I mean, it was genius. Now, Lane coached at Tennessee for a year, left for the USC job. I think anybody in their right mind would understand you would leave Tennessee for USC. And if you knew Lane's circumstances with what USC meant to him, that's where he, basically got to start. He really built there. He was on the coaching staff when they were really good in the mid-2000s with Reggie, Matt Leinart, Pete Carroll. So that was somewhat part of a home to him and a comfort zone. So for him to leave, no surprise. I'm getting a phone call. Sparta, Michigan? I didn't even know that was a fucking thing. I wish you wouldn't call me Sparta, Michigan. That fucking phone. Jesus Christ. Sorry, we'll continue on here. No, but I think if you understood what Lane's MO was when he left, I mean, anybody's going to leave. Tennessee's not a football program that is good. They're one of those programs, I look at them like, I put them in the category, I think, with like Texas A&M, where it's like we think our football program is really good and it's not, or it's not as good as it should be. Like, that's a Tennessee, that's a Texas A&M, that is like a Washington that way. There's a lot of those teams that it's like the fan expectations is way higher than what the actual expectation should be. Now, there's a lot of programs out there like that, but Tennessee is one of those schools. So, like, when Lane left. Now, Lane says he regrets leaving, of course, because he got fired at USC on a tarmac. That's fucked up. But I think, Lane understood maybe, but you leave Tennessee to go to USC. So now to move now, yeah, they throw trash on the field. Okay, well, you love him. Like Lane said, when he left, they were burning couches. That meant he was a good coach. And then when Lane was walking out the field, he got a water bottle thrown at him. He snagged it. And then he threw his visor up, and they were fighting over his visor. So do you love the guy? Do you hate the guy? I think 18 people were arrested. A dozen or more were being investigated into, and potentially a lot of kids were potentially going to get kicked out of the stadium. Primarily student section kids. I didn't get it. I thought it was maybe one of the dumbest things ever. To have, like, why would you throw trash? How stupid are you to throw trash on a field? It just came out of nowhere. They started throwing, them throwing trash came out of nowhere, like the trash on the field. It just happened out of nowhere. It was just weird. I didn't get it. It was a bad look for Tennessee. If you are a coach or a player for Tennessee, it's like, do you want to go play there? Or are you just so, like, man, that fan base is so passionate? Yeah, I don't know. Peyton Manning's not walking through that door anymore. So, I don't know. I thought it was a bad look. Lane handled it perfectly. Lane handled it as good as any coach could ever have handled it. The other big news. Okay, of course, as everything happens on this show, something fucking goes wrong. And the camera stopped recording, so I get up in front of it, put my face right to it. It's not recording. Oh, the SD card's full. So now I'm scrambling around trying to find another fucking SD card to find. Found one. We're back. This show sometimes makes me wish it was a person and I could sit there and strangle it all day. But we're moving forward. Alright, on to the LSU job. Look, I've said half of this before, but it did not catch it on recording because I didn't realize it. So I will say it again. LSU let go of Coach O, but not till the end of the year. I do not get the decision that they made to do this the way that they did it. To me, if you're going to fire a coach, fucking fire the man. Get rid of them. Don't keep them around, because it only makes players sometimes want to fight harder for their coach. In this instance, I haven't seen anything where the players come out and say, we love Coach O, blah, blah, blah. If it's as bad as you say it is, get rid of him. If, one article said he lost who he was and stuff like that, and there's been a lot of other things that have come out that said it's pretty bad, and there's a lot of things that supposedly he did or stuff that come out, and I've seen some things. I'm not going to sit here and say they're true or not, I don't know. So I'm not going to sit here and say them to you because I don't know if they're true. You know, if you want to go look them up and look at some of the stories, that's up to you. You can believe what you want to believe. There's a lot of people that know stuff that aren't saying some things, so, you know, maybe we might find it out someday or some not. But so now the LSU job's open, right? And to me, it's like, you think it's open, but the coach is still coaching. And that's why I'm saying get rid of him so everybody knows officially it's over. Because what if he goes on a run? What if he beats Bama? What if he wins out? You know, you have to take those things into consideration. He just beat Florida, right? So it's like, I don't get it. Now, to me, he's not a good coach. He's a guy that caught lightning in a bottle with Joe Burrow. And, you know, some of the people have talked about that if Greg Schiano wouldn't have got ran out of Tennessee, Joe Burrow was going to Tennessee with him. You know, Greg Schiano was the defensive coordinator at Ohio State when Joe Burrow was there, so they were going to go to Tennessee together. So Orgeron would never have had Joe Burrow. So what happens then? The best thing Coach O gave to us was, go Tigers, right? That's the best thing he gave to us. We're going to miss that, but look, I don't need go Tigers every day. You know, that's not a football coach, right? That's a fucking TV personality that's selling you cars. That's what he should probably do next. But, I mean, you need to, if you are LSU, you should have just got rid of him, but you kept him. Whatever. You're going to do what you want to do. To me, you should have fired him, got rid of him. If it's as bad as you say it is, and you shouldn't be the coach anymore, blah, 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 boom. You can tell I'm looking at TV, Sofia Vergara is on the screen. Like I said. Wow. Alright, so now, I have on my phone now, I will go to my phone. I do not like looking at this, but these are the coaching odds, the top coaching odds for the LSU job. James Franklin, Lane Kiffin, Mel Tucker, Jimbo, Bill Napier, Dave Arnetta, Luke Fickell, Mark Stoops, Joe Brady, Mario Cristobal, Bob Stoops. Man, you like that little, as I say that, in rhythm? Okay, I'll run down all of them and pretty much what I think. James Franklin's a favorite. Look, I wrote this here. This is what I think is going to happen this offseason. I think James Franklin goes to USC. USC's open as well. I will talk about which job's better after I go through these coaches, USC or LSU. Franklin goes to USC. So then that opens Penn State. Then I think Luke Fickell, who's at Cincinnati, goes to Penn State. That's a domino that starts to fall. And then we will see how this carousel plays out. That's just what I think happens. Because I think that is what happens. Now, so I don't think James Franklin goes to LSU. I think he goes to SC. I think he just does. It feels like he's going to go there. He's a really good coach. He knows that he's not going to be able to consistently win at Penn State with Ohio State, maybe Michigan, maybe Harbaugh has that turned around. If Mel Tucker stays at Michigan State, that's going to be a tough. You have a tough division there. You go to USC, you win, you'll dominate, especially in NIL. I think you can be the most dominant program in college. Lane Kiffin, this is who I would hire. If you watch the show, I'm a big Lane Kiffin fan. Lane train, choo-choo! I'm all about the Lane train. I've been on that forever. I will continue to be on. Lane is a very good coach. He's way better than what he was 10 years ago. I don't think people understand that. He got humiliated at USC. Got fired on a tarmac. That's fucked up. He goes to Nick Saban. Nick lets him kind of take the keys of the castle. And if it wasn't for Lane, Alabama's offense would not be where it is today. Wouldn't be. Just wouldn't be. Before Lane got there, a guy like Julio Jones, who was one of the best wide receivers we ever seen in college, didn't have a lot of catches. Lane gets there, takes Amari Cooper, 100 catches. Boom. That's Lane Kiffin. If I'm LSU, I hire Lane. You get ahead of the curve of Nick Saban out of Alabama. Look, I think Nick Saban has a contract extension like 2028 or something, but you get your coach now, you are slowly building your program for then when he leaves, you're already ahead of Alabama. You have a younger coach, you have a guy, boom. Mel Tucker, look, if I'm Mel Tucker, I leave MSU for LSU. I go to Michigan State, look, I get it, Midwest guy, Michigan guy. LSU's a better job. It's a far better job. Mel his SEC roots, he coached under Saban at Georgia, Saban at Alabama, Kirby at Georgia. I almost made myself look like an idiot there. So he has SEC roots. This is kind of Mel's MO. He kind of leaves the place. He left Colorado after saying he wasn't going to leave. So he's been at MSU 2 years. LSU can throw more money at him. It's easy to recruit. Playing in a brand of football that he really knows. It's a possibility. I think Mel could leave. But that's not, if I was USC, if I was LSU, it's not who I would, see, there's so many coach openings, I can't even fucking keep up with them. That is not who I would hire if I was LSU. Jimbo Fisher, look, Jimbo's a good coach. I don't think he leaves Texas A&M. Potentially, he used to be an assistant there, so potentially could leave, but I don't see it happening. Bill Napier, he's the Louisiana coach. This job's too big for him. Dave Arnetta, if that's even how you pronounce his name, he was the defensive coordinator under Coach Orgeron when they won the national title. He's now at Baylor, done a really good job there. It's a possibility if everybody else in the list that they're going after says no, he gets it, but I don't think it happens. It's not who I'd get. Like I said, Fickell, I think Fickell goes to Penn State. If Franklin goes to USC, that's what I think happens. Fickell is a Midwest guy. Everybody's talked about, and he has a lot of kids. I think Fickell has like 6 or 7 kids, so he has a big family. He's a Midwest guy, went to Ohio State, started out coaching in Ohio State, was DC there, was interim coach, then went to Cincinnati. He's a Midwest guy through and through. There's been reports that the only 2 jobs Fickell would want, if they ever came up with, were Midwest jobs, which would be Ohio State and Notre Dame. Those 2 jobs aren't coming open anytime soon. Penn State potentially would. It's Big Ten, he knows it. Has a chance to kind of get back at Ohio State a little bit going there. I think that's what happens. So Fickell to LSU, Fickell to USC, I don't foresee it happening. I just don't. Mark Stoops, job's too big for him. Joe Brady, him and Lane Kiffin are the 2 people if I was LSU, I'd go after. Joe Brady was the offense coordinator with Joe Burrow and them when they won their national title a couple years ago. He's young, innovative, obviously understands how to use their playmakers there, and I think, like I said, you want to get ahead of the curve of Alabama. That if I'm the athletic director, that's how I would think. I would think a couple years down the road when Nick Saban leaves Alabama, where you have a shot to be better than Alabama because they might be going through a regress year. The guy that comes in after Saban's not very good. You want to get ahead of them. To get ahead of them, you get a young coach. You let him build the program up to where you take it over. That's why I say Joe Brady, Lane Kiffin are the 2 guys I call first. They're both offensive-minded. That's what LSU needs. They're going to get the defensive playmakers. You bring in a good defensive coordinator, you figure that out. But you need someone that can use your skill players, because what we've seen that LSU skill players are better than anybody else's skill players, even Alabama skill players, skill positions. So when you use those guys at the max level that you should, you're going to dominate. Look what LSU did. Now I get, like, look, Caleb, you're not going to get Joe Burrow every year. You're not going to get Jamar Chase. You're not going to get, Justin Jefferson's walking. No, you're not. But LSU turns these guys out at wide receiver. Odell, Jarvis Landry. I mean, they have a guy on their team now who'll be really good. I mean, they just do. This is what they do. They are a fucking factory of wide receivers. I'm moving my hands because this is how they turn them out. Do. This is what they do. They have athletes all over their field. You get a young coach that understands how to use these athletes and already gets these players. So Mario Cristobal, Bob Stoops, ain't going to happen. Mario Cristobal goes anywhere but USC. I don't foresee him leaving Oregon. I just don't. So like I said, if I'm LSU, I get Lane Kiffin or I get Joe Brady. Lane Kiffin would be my number 1 just because Lane's been a head coach before Joe Brady hasn't. And, does Joe Brady does he want to coach in the pros or does he want to coach in college again? He coached in college 1 year and he left back to go to the pros. He's now with the Panthers as their OC. So, he could easily, if he gives himself a year or 2, he could have an NFL job. So do you want an NFL job or do you want a college job? But if I'm LSU, that's who I call. I call Lane and I say, look, I want you. I think you get paid 4.5. We'll pay you 6, 6.5. You win better. You do better. And the nice thing with LSU is if a coach that's looking to go there is their last 3 head coaches have won a national title there. Saban, Les Miles, and Coach O. I don't know why I was blanking on Les Miles' name. Saban, Les Miles, Coach O. All 3 of them won there. So, no other program can say that. Our last 3 coaches that have been here, boom, have won a national title. That's where I'd go if I was LSU. Now the argument of LSU, USC, which is a better job. USC is a better job. It's a better job. It is. Because, like I said, you relatively will have maybe, Oregon's your competition, but in the South, in the Pac-12, you're not going to have any competition. You're USC. If you're a good enough coach, like if James Franklin takes that job over, they're consistently a top 10 program and they dominate. Like I said, NIL. You have LA. You have all the players from California. May I say more? So USC is a better job, but you're gonna have some guys that LSU is a better job to them. Maybe like a Mel Tucker because they're USC grown. But if I was LSU, first people I would call. Lane Kiffin, Joe Brady. Get young, get ahead of Alabama. All right, moving on to the games this week. These games are good. They're not as good as they have been in years past. Next week is a big week. I think Wisconsin beats Purdue. Purdue just had the, big win over Iowa. I think Wisconsin comes back, beats them. USC host Oregon. I think USC beats Oregon. Oregon's been kind of teetering the last few weeks. I think USC beats them. Ole Miss beats LSU. Ole Miss had a tough game against Tennessee. LSU won. Ole Miss is a better team. Lane is playing them at home, so he's not at LSU, so they can't throw money at him. Maybe, Maybe if the game was at LSU, they'd be throwing Lane money for him to become the coach there. But I think Ole Miss beats LSU. Clemson plays Pitt. I saw something. I don't know if Pitt's the favorite here. And if Pitt's the favorite, I would bet big on Clemson. Look, Clemson's not as good as they have been. Pitt's a 3.5 favorite. They're at home, so your home team usually gets 3. I think Clemson beats Pitt. I just do. I think Pitt is in the top 25. One loss. Clemson beats Pitt. If Clemson loses to Pitt and they go 3, oh my God. I'd love to see it. This is one of those games where I'd love to be wrong. But I think Clemson beats Pitt. Notre Dame beats USC, but close. I think this is close. I think that it's 7 points. It's close. The last time USC came in with an interim coach at Notre Dame on the road, everybody thought Notre Dame would beat them. I was at the game. It was, what's his name? Clay Helton. Off the top of the dome. Big brain. I think of everything. It was Clay Helton's first game after Sark got fired for having a little alcohol problem. Sark, better man than what he was years ago. But this is it feels very similar to me. It's like people thought like USC is dead. They're looking they have a new coach. They're looking on for the next coach. Blah, blah, blah. They actually played pretty well. They almost beat Notre Dame. I think it's going to be close. The last few times that they've played at Notre Dame, it's close. USC, for some reason, plays better, and they've played better on the road this year. I think Notre Dame pulls it out narrowly. Still don't like the quarterback situation. Jack Cohen, statue, trash, garbage. Fucking put that statue somewhere in the back of the facility in the garbage can. That's how bad he is. But I think Notre Dame beats them close, though. Close. I will be on the edge of my seat during that game. That's going to do it. We covered a lot. I had a lot of notes. Look at the notes. I had a lot. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, tell your friends, blast it everywhere. I could go all day. I'm just going to have my hands do this as I leave you. Bye. Thanks.